Okay, we're going to just keep this informal, and I really hope that this afternoon is something that everyone can take away. We can take away something, and then you learn something, and you can actually apply. Yeah, I think the subject of EMF can be closely tied as well to the place that you live in or that you are going to live in. So I'm not sure what position you're in. So for those of you who maybe perhaps you may be looking for a house down the road. Yeah, that can be something that you can pick up one or two tips from today's sharing. Yeah, so I'm going to just pass the time over to Wesley. So Wesley is actually very interesting how we got to know him because we actually live in the same estate. Yeah, so and we got to know him. And actually, he was the one who helped us to source and to scout for this current house that we shifted in. Yeah, so that was last year in 2020. Yeah, we shifted in 2019, 2020. So has been a great help. And Wesley has been really being a housing agent, real estate agent for many years. So he is now able to, I believe, impart and share certain ideas and tips. Okay, so Wesley, over to you.
Hello, everybody.
On.
I'm Wesley here. So first time giving talk to so many buyers. So pardon me if I left out anything. Okay. So today I'm just going to share with you guys on tips on buying a house for your own stay. So if let's say you are looking for a place for investment, all this, I don't think there are so many things you need to look out for, whereas there are other things you need to focus on instead. Okay. So first thing first, a lot of people would like to buy house without doing beforehand preparation. In particular, not getting a loan done first, so you won't know how much you'll be able to loan. So I think this is very important, especially if today you are buying a HDB flat and you're taking HDB loan. You must get your loan done first before making any purchase. This is the new ruling from HDB. So unless you're taking a bank loan, then of course you can buy first, then loan later. But it will be good still to get your loan done beforehand. Then next, today we are living in a very digital world. I think everybody will just use their phone to search for property listings. You don't need the newspaper anymore, in fact. So I think it would be good that you have Property Guru on your phone, so that at any time you want to search for a house anywhere, you can just access it. Okay, then lastly, also for people who are looking to buy HDB, I think there are a lot of information on HDB website which will be able to assist you. Like, for example, the sites for HDB prices. So I think it will be good to keep a few HDB bookmarks. So maybe if you want later, I can share the sites with you guys. Okay, so next. Okay, these are the general things I believe everybody will consider when it comes to buying a house for your own stay. First, the budget. How much budget have you set aside for your house? Next, the location. Where will you be buying? Size and renovation. Of course, everybody will always hope that, I hope that my budget will be able to buy me a house, or rather, my targeted house should be more or less your dream house. So, but I always advise my buyers, okay, always ask yourself, if it's your dream house, it will be somebody else's as well. So I think it will be good to keep aside where, if let's say it hits 60 to 70% of what you're looking for, that should be the house already. Because I think the floor level plus renovation plus budget, all this there will become too many things that you need to consider. So I think it will be good that just keep it minimal. So as long as it hits most of what you're looking for, don't need everything, that should be the house that you will buy. Okay. So is everybody following me? Okay, next. Okay, there are too many things that when it comes to consider buying a place. So I think that these are the things that should not let you interfere your decision. Okay, generally, especially if you are buying a slightly older house in an older estate, okay, the general paint job and cosmetic details to the house, don't let it affect you. Picture the house empty with 4 empty walls. I think that will be safer, because sometimes some owner do not paint their house for like the past 10-20 years. The house will look very old. But I don't think that should affect your decision when it comes to buying the new house. So picture it. Next thing, probably you can picture it 4 walls with white brand new paint. Okay, then some houses are really in a mess. Things are lying all around, which makes the house look small and messy. Don't let those interfere your decision as well. A lot of buyers come in, sometimes they can view 2 similar houses, but probably the less messy one is asking for a higher price, whereas compared to the less messy one, who will not be asking such a high price, but instead people may pay more to get the to get the less messy place, which I feel that that is something that you should not fall into. Okay, because and also the next thing is movable furnitures, unless it's built in. Okay, that may interfere your decision, but movable furnitures will always be emptied when the house is handed over to you. So movable furniture should not interfere your decision as well. Okay, so next thing, these are the more important things that you should look for when you're buying a house. Okay, first thing, very important, pests. A lot of things, a lot of pests problem that sometimes we cannot see. Usually those are inside cupboards, inside the doors of cupboards. I have friends who have just bought a house in Sengkang last year, which is a brand new 5-year-old flat. So the house is, owner does not stay there. Very, very well renovated. Until after handing over, my friend heard something coming from the kitchen. How come there is noise there? So shortly they realized that actually the cupboard was infested with white, they call it white ants. So to us it should be termites. So in the end they got to tear down the entire kitchen, redo the entire kitchen, which cost them 20 over thousand just for the kitchen. So these are something that I feel that is very, very important. Cockroaches, termites, things like that, I think we should keep an extra lookout so that we won't miss out on such things. Okay, then next, what is the reason for owner to sell? I think it will be usually better if you see a house that is sold because the owner is looking to upgrade the house. So because if owner are upgrading, less likely that this house will be facing any loan shark issue and stuff like that. Okay, so it would be good that not just upgrading, sometimes owner may be downgrading for good reason. So these are the better owners, I would say, even though sometimes you may need to wait for them and things like that. These are the worthwhile things that we can exchange for. We can spare the time to buy a better house, I would say. Okay, so sometimes how are the owner like? Have a good, if possible, have a look at the owner. How do they look like? How do you feel about them? I know it's not good to judge, but sometimes we humans are like that. But it's sometimes because you're buying not a cheap thing, can be a few $1 million things. So it will be good that have a good look at yourself. Then check if there are news about the place. Last 2 years ago, my friend sold this place. Initially, when he sold the place, when he started marketing the place, he didn't tell people about this problem that this 82-year-old man has murdered his daughter-in-law at that place. So what happened is that after people paying deposit, people wants the deposit back, saying that you did not tell me about this news. This is a very scary news, I would say. It's a murder happened in that flat. So shortly after, my friend started telling people, but sometimes for a start, some agents will not tell you, or some people, even the owner, if the owner is the seller himself, they may not tell you what really happened inside the house. So I think these are the things that that you should really look out for. Do check out the news, check out newspaper, walk around downstairs, ask around friends and family members if they are aware of the situation around here. Okay, I'm sure nobody wants to buy any house that has murder taken place in it before. Okay, so I think generally these are the big things you need to look out for inside a house. So next, okay, when you're buying a house, you're not just buying the inside of the house, but also you're buying the outside of the house. So step outside, have a general feel to the place. Recently, I have transacted a flat in Woodland. Once I've stepped out of the house, it was at about 9 p.m. Once I step out of the house, the facing is fantastic. It's facing the sea, or rather not really facing the sea. It's facing Johor side, I think. So there are a lot of factories that side. So we went for 2 viewings. The first viewing was done in the day. Subsequently, my buyer went up to have a look again in the evening. So when I step out, how come I smell something? So I believe these are probably smells from the factory, smokes from the factory. I think especially for people who are here today to attend the talk, I think health is definitely a very big concern for everybody. Do have a look at the place at different timing, because at many times buying a house could be something quite emotional. Today, once you step in, you may like it immediately and you down the deposit. So subsequently, and when you move into the place, then you realize this kind of problem. Then I feel by then this kind of problem will be a little bit too late to do anything about it, and it is something that we cannot change. So this kind of smell, especially if you are buying a house by the roadside, near factories in particular. Okay, there are some factories. This is not the Woodland one. Is not the first time I've stepped into and I smell such kind of weird smell. There are houses near Lakeside. That time I stepped into a condo, I smell this kind of smell too, and it's coming from the outside, and probably it's near those factories that are nearby, and they are very big industrial factories. So look out for this kind of things. I feel these are things that money cannot change. So it's very, very important that we keep a lookout for those. Okay, next, splash pane remains. So splash pane remains, sometimes we don't really see properly and we may miss this out. Then once you have paid the deposit, once you have advanced on to the next step of the resale procedure, probably handed over to the lawyer already, you'll be too late. There is no turning back. So do look out for splash panes. Usually, sometimes owner may have covered the splash pane, but I feel that if it will be a good place to look out for is the door, then probably there is a step here to step up into the house. So at the latch here, these are the area whereby the pane will be very difficult to remove. And these are the dead giveaway to see if there are any splash panes from loan sharks and things like that, because you never know what kind of neighbors that you are really going to get, even if the splash pane is not from your owner. Okay, I have actually sold not just one or two, I've sold quite a couple of loan shark units in Singapore already. So this kind of thing, do keep a lookout. I do inform people, but sometimes there will be buyers who just buy, but also there will be buyers who have bought and too late subsequently then learn that there is such paint splashing problems in the house. So I think these are the things that we need to really look out for. So next thing, okay, neighbors, they are very important. Look at this, the first picture that I'm showing you. This neighbors has plants all over and has laundries. The picture could be a little bit small. You are not able to see, but actually those laundries that are hung outside are actually underwears. So neighbors are very important. Sometimes also, imagine having neighbors like that. If you are pushing a baby pram bag, or you just went for a big grocery shopping with your big trolleys coming back, you will definitely have problem pushing your baby prams and trolleys, all these, to pass this kind of neighbors. So I think buying a house, not just you're buying inside, but outside is also very important. In fact, I feel that outside is much more important than the inside, because even if, let's say, you have bought a house with pest problem, like termites, for example, you can still spend money to re-renovate the entire place. But neighbors are something that you really cannot change. So I think that is generally what I feel that I need to share with you guys. So with that, I think I've come to quite the end of my session, because if, let's say, you're looking for other stuff, there will definitely be a lot of other small detail things that you may be looking out for. Some things that not everybody will be having the same concern. So generally, I feel that that is all I will be sharing with you guys today. So any questions, maybe we can leave it to behind, or you can WhatsApp me, or you can just give me a call anytime. So even if, let's say, you're not really going to buy today, but please feel free to ask things before buying. And I feel that it will be good that do get a property agent, not asking you to go through me, but I feel that even if you have friends or family members who are property agent, please go through a property agent, because we property agent are the one who knows what to look out for and what advice we should give you. So try not to save this kind of money, because you property agent may be able to give you, to help you get a better bargain as well, and may get you a good price for your flat. Just like Joe and Jen, that time when they bought their flat, they are almost at a record lowest price when they bought this new flat. So I think do go through an agent. So if you have any questions, and if you feel that there is a need to ask, please feel free to drop me a text or give me a call. Okay, so with now I will hand the time back to Joe.
Thanks, Wesley. Yes, correct. So really use this chance to ask if you have some questions or thoughts that may not be covered just now by Wesley. So maybe towards the end there is some time that you can have some Q&A. Yeah. So we also want to invite Max to share his little insights. Max was the other person that we managed to engage and get some inputs and help on for this current house that we shifted into. So Max is more in the aspect and the area of EMF radiation. Yeah, so he himself is somebody who specializes in this area. So I think most of you have already known him or heard from him. Yeah, so today Max will share with all of us some ideas and tips around, in the house that you stay or you may be moving into, what are the things to look out for in the aspect and area of EMF. Yeah. So Max, over to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Joe and Jennifer. Let me share my slides right now. Hope that let me know if you can see. Can you see this? Yeah.
Can.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The company name is called Choy. We are actually a Singapore-based company dealing with some of the solutions that we provide. We are able to actually cover up to 5G radiation shielding, as well as data protection solution. So our office is actually in the downtown in Orchard area in Scotts Shaw Center. So I myself is an electrical engineer by training, and I'm a TUSUD certified, EMS certified health and safety, certified for measurement for workplace and products as well. Yeah. So what are we doing? Sorry, I'm just trying to make this thing a little smaller. Yeah. So we are providing homes and organizations for EMR or what we call electromagnetic radiation consultation services. So we go around this kind of places to do a site assessment to measure the amount of EMR or electromagnetic radiation level in their facilities or in their site. As well as we've been doing this since 2016, and it slowly expanded from Singapore to the neighboring Southeast Asia countries. So the expertise lies, like I mentioned, mainly on the wireless radiation aspect and also the electrical radiation aspect of the EMR spectrum. And we also offer wireless data protection application. So some of the things that we offer is something like, for example, your home networking kind of solution that you might be looking for. This is actually, instead of going so much on wireless kind of connectivity, we offered the solution to help you connected to the LAN cable. In terms of the power, we have a power solution to help you to mitigate in terms of your home dirty electricity problem. And of course, here are some of the things that we do in terms of shielding, in terms of paint, film, fabrics, and wearable products. So this is what we do. So our mission here is actually to create a safer wireless world so that everybody can actually live and work and play safely. So we aspire to have to create innovative EMF reducing product. That's our vision as well. So let me just show you a little bit about the statistics. Probably I've skipped one step. Yeah, I've skipped some of the listing. Sorry, I think. So before I start, maybe it's important. Sorry, I go back a little bit. What is actually EMR or EMF? Electromagnetic field or electromagnetic radiation. So if you can see here on this chart here, if you can see my pointer here, from one on the right extreme side, you can see that this is actually nuclear radiation. All these things from we call it ionizing radiation. We have X-ray, we have ultraviolet, and the other aspect of it we call in this red section we call non-ionizing radiation. So what we have the infrared section, microwave, radio frequency, all the way to all those power radiation from for example your overhead lines, and as well as some earth, as well as the subway radiation sources. So this actually, they are broadly speaking, there are two broad categories, the non-ionizing and the ionizing radiation aspect. And I have to mention that as far as the medical literature is concerned, all this ionizing or non-ionizing radiation does create a biological effect to human. So if you can see here that there are few pictures that I put up. For example, from the bottom left, you can see that the human brain activities, the heart, the nervous system, or intercellular kind of activities, all this requires all these electrical charges. Yeah. So actually, humans are by itself electromagnetic being. So this is where Choy operates. We operate within the non-ionizing radiation, meaning that from the wireless radiation that we know, the mobile phone, all the way to the electrical radiation aspect. This is where the activities of Choy is. We focus mainly on the non-ionizing part. Yeah. So here, let me just show you a short video.
Watching TV. Not only are there visible light waves from the TV striking your eyes, but also radio waves transmitting from a nearby station, and microwaves carrying cell phone calls and text messages, and waves from your neighbor's Wi-Fi, and GPS units in the cars driving by. There is a chaos of waves from all across the spectrum passing through your room right now.
So this is just a graphical animation just to show you that, this form of radiation, wireless radiation, or in fact the electrical radiation aspect of it is everywhere. Yeah. So the question is, how much are you being exposed to? Yeah. So we cannot escape from it. It's everywhere. But the question is, how much are you exposed to? Yeah.
Do you sit watching
Sorry.
TV?
So what are the common sources of EMF or EMR? Okay, we can see that here we have, of course, the cell phone. We know about cell phone, iPads, microwave oven. Yeah. Even like mobile phone towers, cell phone towers. How does a mobile phone tower looks like? If you look at this picture on the right hand side, you can see that it looks like this. Typically is mounted on top of the building here. So the smaller one are the newest 5G antenna for those who are interested to know how the 5G antenna looks like. So it is a very small, like a squarish kind of thing. So this is the mobile phone antennas. Unlike some of people probably will mistaken it for like a emergency evacuation. In Singapore, we have all those kind of things that in the event of a war or in the event of a major incident, you have this siren. So this is not a speaker. This is the antenna, mobile phone antenna. So another thing that people will be concerned with, like for example, people staying near a power substation. Like this is the typical power substation looks like. And the one on the right hand side is basically a bigger one. It's not really as per se a transformer. It's basically a switch gear. It's housed inside a building. So these are all power installation. And you can see here on the two top right hand side, these two things looks very nice, kind of a squarey box. This is actually a smart meter. In Singapore, the authorities don't call it smart meters because if you go Google, you type smart meters, you can see there's a lot of discussion globally speaking wise on the health effect of smart meters. So in Singapore, we call it Advanced Metering Infrastructure Meter, AMI meters. It sounds very complicated, but it's actually a wireless a smart meter. So the other thing that you can see here is, of course, overhead lines here, power overhead lines here. Obviously, in Singapore, we don't have this, but it is very prevalent in many countries, like in Malaysia and or all those countries have a huge land mass. So they need, basically Singapore, what we have a lot of this kind of high tension cables laid underground. So we still do have an issue here. For example, if you're staying near a substation, it's not only the physical substation that is important, but also how the cable is actually being laid. Yeah. Okay, next we also have things like the Bluetooth emitting devices, wireless camera, baby monitors, and so on and so forth. So those are all wireless emitting devices, and those are all the very common sources of EMR or EMF. Yeah. Sorry, let me just go back. So in terms of statistics, so what are the numbers actually telling us? So because I have to mention that because a lot of people might be saying, is it true? Because we heard some side of the camp or the scientific body will say that it's totally absolutely safe, but the other side will say that there's some potential risk. So in order to rest this and then at least set the foot right. For example, in terms of the guidelines for EMF or EMR, even in Singapore, the authority that regulates this is called NEA, National Environmental Agency. They cited that the International Agency for Research on Cancer, IRAC, actually classify radio frequency or wireless radiation as an ERF, the magnetic radiation, as class 2B human carcinogen. And what is class 2B? Class 2B is actually equivalent to pesticide like the DDT, car exhaust, carbon monoxide, lead, and chloroform. So when I mention these few substances, everybody will be very shocked. Now, those are very clearly very harmful substances that we do not want to, to be in contact with those things. But yet many people are not even aware that this is classified as the same category, as our radio frequency or our wireless, network. On the right-hand side, you can see that, I have to mention that as far as wireless radiation is concerned, there's actually no international safety standard. There's only an international safety guideline. And as far as what is guideline and standard mean, of course, we know that standard is actually very strong. We have to follow, things like that. It's highly regulated. But for guideline, it's something that you can follow or. So from this example, you can clearly see, for example, Singapore and many countries in the world is actually following a guideline called INEP, International Commission for Non-Ionizing Radiation Protection. So the level that Singapore is following is at 1,000 microwatts per cm square, or if you convert to meter square, it's 10 million microwatts per meter square. So if you compare countries like India or even China, we are talking about this country are having 10 times to 100 times even lower than this guideline that we are following. And of course, there are even many other countries in Europe. The one that is actually probably lowest on Earth that you can see is in Austria, Salzburg. They have a level of only about, if you change the microwatt per meter square, it's only 10 microwatts per meter square compared to 10 million. So this example will tell you that it depends on what guideline are you following. As far as my practice is concerned, I'm following a very tight guideline along this area. This is totally unprotective as far as human health is concerned. That's why not to discuss it in this seminar. There's actually a UN appeal by a lot of scientists to tell them that over the many years that this is totally unprotective at all. And the other thing that I would like to bring to your attention is with regards to so-called long-term exposure. As far as long-term exposure, because people have to understand that when it comes to wireless radiation, there's absolutely no long-term exposure test being done. So when you say long-term exposure, people say, what do you mean by long-term exposure? How long is long? The industry actually measures for mobile phone is only 6-minute exposure. So that is their long-term exposure as far as time is concerned. So anything that is longer than 6 minutes, they do not have a criteria for that. And for the whole body exposure, we are talking about 30 minutes. Can you imagine this cell phone and this mobile phone infrastructure or this thing has been around for so many years? And yet there's nobody actually conducted a test or things to validate the safety exceeding over the 30 minutes kind of time frame. So to say that it's absolutely safe as far as the human is concerned, I think this will tell you many things. Yeah. So let me go to the next slide. So these are some possible health risks that you can see, from neurological, like from insomnia, sleep, depression, and so on and so forth, to reproductive, our, in terms of a reduction in sperm count, mobility, higher miscarriage rates and birth defects, to hematologic is mainly on the blood side of things, the DNA damage, in terms of mitochondrial damage, increase in stress hormone release. There are even the studies on in terms of our immunity system. EMR or EMF has known to impact our immunity system, increase the resistance to our antibodies. In terms of cancer causing things, that is high oxidative stress, cancer I just mentioned, in terms of glioma, thyroid, all these are examples of cancer. And of course, there are other things that will be very interesting that I will highlight is under the others section. It's called Electro Hypersensitive. These are a group of people that is very sensitive to exposure to high level or different levels of EMF or EMR. So typical symptoms that these people may feel is something like they can they become tired very easily. They have difficulties in concentrating. Some of them will manifest as a skin kind of a redness or tingling sensation. Many of them have this dizziness and nausea feeling, heart palpitation, and so on and so forth. So these are typical symptoms of an electro hypersensitive group. Later, I'll show you that this is of quite an interesting concern, because in the past, it was only a certain 2 or 3% of population in any countries, but there are studies showing that growing numbers of people are actually become more and more sensitive to EMF. So for those people that are very interested in all those facts and all those studies, so I've listed out this list of websites that people can actually go in and take a look. These are very good, powerful information that you can check it out. So for example, one of the best sources is the Environmental Health Trust. It is a very nicely done website that you have all the necessary health information concerning about EMF. So you can see the numbers of studies we are talking about in the orders of tens of thousands of studies to point to you the proof of biological effects on due to EMF. Yeah. So yeah, by the way, just for your information, Environmental Health Trust has just recently filed a legal suit against FCC, it is called a Federal Communication Commission. It's equivalent to Singapore IMDA, the one that regulates the emission and all those telcos and all those things. So they have officially filed a legal case, a suit against them for negligence, due to the fact that they are actually following a very old, 20-year-old guideline. Just now I mentioned the 10 million microwatts per meter square guideline. So right now in January this year, they have already started the legal hearings. For those who want to follow this very closely, this is a very historical kind of event. You can go to the website. They actually list out all the legal hearing. So please follow that. It is a very interesting development that is going on that many people are unaware. So as far as Environmental Health Trust is concerned, the two major push that they are doing right now is in terms of on the legal front, they have officially do this legal suit against FCC. On the medical front, they have actually came up with many EMF medical conferences over the last couple of years to make it even more known to the public, especially in the medical field. So those medical conferences are targeting at medical doctors. So it's mainly to help them to diagnose EHS. A lot of people have all this electro hypersensitivity, how to diagnose and how to prevent themselves from all these harms. And you can see that many of these sightings, these studies that I'm talking about, is all published in this, on the right-hand side, it's all very famous medical publication like PubMed, Lancet, or Elsevier. So they are very credible source. Please, you can take a look at yourself. I will not go through here. So as far as the world is, what we are seeing here, you can see that over the last over 100 years, man-made EMF, when I say man-made, we are talking about power, installation, wireless, So there's actually an increase of 10 to the power 18 factor quintillion times over the last 100 years. So this man-made, the amount of EMF that actually we have been exposed to right now is at this kind of factor, quintillion times. As far as what do we see in fertilities, there's a 50% decrease. Dementia, there's an increase of 300. Cancer rate, for example, in particular in UK, there's a 300% increase due to GBM, is actually glioma. It's a very deadly form of cancer to the brain. Diabetes around the world, we are looking at about 390%. Autism, 1,500% increase. And electro hypersensitive, this is a group that I was mentioning. From 3%, it's been forecasted that it will reach around 35%. But this 35% is not those people that have a severe form, but more of mild symptoms like sleeping disorder and so on and so forth. So you can see there are a lot of numbers here. Of course, not all are actually 100% pointed to the effects of EMF, but of course, this is basically telling you in terms of numbers, what we are seeing right now, what's happening in terms of the health globally speaking. So now I'll probably come to in terms of how can EMF affect the properties. So you can see that as far as the cell phone is concerned, people in this part of the world, in Singapore, are probably not aware. In countries like in Europe or in America, you can see that your property can be lower by 20%, or even sometimes if you are very close to power headlines, if you are very close to it, even 45 percentage point, slightly further. So we are looking around maybe on average about 20% kind of reduction rate in your property. Of course, now, because not many people are aware of this in Singapore, especially in Singapore, you will not, but one day when people get more and more this awareness, it might be a problem in terms of the property value. This is what's actually seeing in other countries. So I'll show you what is the effect of if you're staying opposite this form of like, for example, a cell phone tower. You can see that here is basically if you have a cell phone tower on top of this building on here, you can see this is the radiation pattern. Obviously, the further you are, the lower the radiation exposure. All those red and pink are basically the main beams or the higher exposure. So you can see that even if you are at 300 meters, we are talking about 1,000 microwatts per meter square. Yeah, this is milliwatt. So in converted to microwatts, is even at 300 meters, we are talking about 1,000 microwatts per meter square. So the nearer you are, obviously you are getting higher exposure. So it's very important for you to know, when you buy a house or whatever, please have a look on top, sideway or above, whether there's any nearby cell phone towers. Yeah. So this is again, this is how a cell phone tower typically looks like on top of buildings. Yeah. Please, again, I mentioned, it's very, very visible. Yeah. Here you can see that these are some of those cell phone towers that are not so visible. They are actually hide inside a car park, for example. So this is they have actually disguised into like a tree. Yeah. So these are cell phone towers. So in Singapore public housing, they put it very close to this water tank area and color the same color. You can't really tell that it's a cell phone antenna over there. This is a picture from one of my customers staying in Maldives. You can see that they even put it just outside of the house. This one is not so visible. You can see that it's actually built inside the building. So from outside, you are not able to tell. Yeah. So again, you can see many of these in Singapore. We can see that it looks like this in an expressway. We have a tower like this. They even put it in a lamppost. So this is a cell phone tower again. So this is quite interesting because you can see that actually this antenna is being tilted upwards. So that's actually trying to do the beam so that actually the people staying over at this building can have a better signal. So this is very close to where I am. If this is a human height, it's just above the head. This is very near to as far as the human exposure is concerned. So when you buy a house, of course, do also take note of things like this. This is actually in a eastern side of Singapore. You do have this kind of radar on top of a building. This is a marine radar, yeah. And in Bukit Batok area, you can see a lot of military radar as well. And of course, you do see some of this installation like this satellite dish. These are not really a real concern because they are more beaming to the satellite over the earth. So the concern are basically all these site towers over here. So you can see that again here on this picture here, you can see that there are these big towers over here on the left hand side in Bukit Timah areas. So those are not really as per se wireless radiation sources. These are mainly the AM and FM old infrastructure that we are transmitting. We are still using that, but they are not as per se have a lot of these cell phone towers and or this radar and so on and so forth. But the new infrastructure, what they do with this whole metallic structure, what they do is that actually they planted a lot of this small little sector antenna on the side of it. So in the past, when you don't have a issue with this form of antenna, right now you do have some, not due to the FM or AM signal, but mainly due to the cell phone tower that's attached to the structure on the side. So again, here you can see there are some examples that I showed already. So this is just how I mentioned in my first slide, it looks like this. External, it looks like a building, exactly looks like a building. You can't tell that it's actually inside, there's a switch gear, power switch gear. So this is again in other countries, in Malaysia or whatever, you can see there's a lot of this kind of power installation. So here you can see, I just want to cite some examples. This is a substation that we mentioned. These are some transformers. So houses that are located very close to this, we may have issues as far as electrical radiation is concerned. This is very interesting. This is like a public housing here. Below is actually the substation, and you actually have people staying on top. I've been to these places to do an assessment. The issue here is on your floor. Yeah, the floor has actually a high level of electrical source. Source. So inside the building, it could be look like this, a transformer. Yeah. So be mindful that try not to look for places that you are staying just directly above it or directly beneath it, yeah, or on the side. So you need to do some assessment to actually check it out. What is the level? So now I come to some of the tips that in terms of finding a house. Let's go to point number 1. Typically, if you work out for a mid to lower floor kind of a house, the chances for you to be exposed to this wireless radiation exposure is generally lower due to the fact that a lot of these antennas are being positioned high up on the rooftop. So houses at the mid-level to low level tend to have a lower exposure, generally speaking. But of course, there are exceptions that when the cell phone tower is, let's say your opposite building is just 4 or 5 story high, obviously when they put it on top of those buildings, those mid-floor and lower floor will be affected as well. Yeah. So as far as energy efficiency, efficient appliance is concerned, for example, people like to do a lot of like LEDs, inverter, air cons, these, so a lot of this energy efficient kind of thing do contribute a lot of problem to your radiation in the house, especially when it comes to, for example, a DC fan. I've experienced with customers using a DC fan because generally our fans are all operated in AC. So if you have a special fan that run on AC, or there are people that actually have a renewable system like solar system in your house or even a smart home. So all these things will contribute a lot of EMF in your house. So things like, for example, also try to check out whether that particular house has done any major work in regards to electrical wiring, for example, especially high current cable. So this is what my experience with some other houses in overseas as well. When they have some issue of breaking or whatever, they install certain high current kind of installation like floodlight and things like that. So once the wiring is done wrongly, your whole house will be affected by a huge, very high magnetic field, which is very difficult to shield. So, and also keep your house wiring as simple as possible. Try to avoid too many two-way switches, like you can on or off your light in a certain area. Yeah. So, try to avoid make your wiring as simple as possible, because the complexity of the wiring in your house will actually increase the amount of wireless or electrical radiation in your house. Yeah. So regards to the build of the house, try to look for a house that has actually a very solid walls, because right now a lot of modern apartment, some of the section of the walls is actually partition. So when you have a thin partition walls, the microwave radiation or wireless radiation from your external living room wireless router or from your neighbors does easily get into your room. Also, be mindful about things like, smart meters, where is it being positioned in a house. If you are in a landed property house, make sure that it is already positioned outside the gate so that it's far away from where you are. A lot of older houses, you still have these smart meters or this power actually located in quite near to the living room area. So be a little bit careful about this kind of thing. Yeah. So just as I mentioned, there are for places like substation near radar or all these things. Just be a little bit be aware of it. Those are can be a problem, because I do have experience about people staying in those kind of things that usually typically this radar are being tilted at a higher angle so that the beam doesn't beam to a normal household, but due to maintenance issue, they have actually forgot to reorientate the alignment of the facing of the antenna, and this actually contribute unnecessary health problem. So just as I mentioned already, as far as property is concerned, more and more people are aware of the cell phone risk, and of course it may affect your properties. Yeah, in country, especially in Philippines and Malaysia, I do have many calls from this country people's whenever they have a lot of mobile phone antennas planted along their vicinity, they are very concerned. So they'll give a call and then ask for what are the things that they can do about it. So people that are electro hypersensitive, a lot of people are probably doesn't even aware, what are the things that they can do about EMF exposure, what are the solutions out there that can help them. And finally, I think as far as what the company does, particularly Choy, of course, we help people to mitigate in the event that it is the source is high. So I just already mentioned these are a few very simple feature products like shielding fabric, film, paint, and some meter that we do. So these are just some products that actually we carries in terms of helping people to reduce the overall exposure. We will do a before and after kind of assessment to make sure that the solution says that you are able to deliver the shielding effects. So again, you can see these are just some pictures that I'll show you. So I think maybe for the interest of time, I'll skip this. This is just a video to show you that one of the client in Penang. You can see that their house is actually facing directly this cell phone tower. So what he does is that basically he has 3 layers. He has done painting on the wall, shielding fabric, as well as the film for the glass. So this is after the whole thing has been done. It's about 4 microwatts. Typically, we want to do about 10 microwatts and below. So the moment I'm not running this video, the moment that they open all these things, it can bumps up to about 18,000 microwatts per meter square. So it's extremely high. Let me just okay. So these are just customers. I wouldn't go through here. So for those who are interested, you can actually contact me through here or contact me through Joe and Jennifer, Johnny dear. Yeah, thank you very much. That's all from me. Yeah, hand over to you, Joe.
Yeah, thanks, Max. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure with what Max has just shared, you're really already starting to think, and you have some ideas or some questions about what Max covered, and then with regards to where you stay. So I think definitely we will have time at the end for Q&A. That is where you can really think about some questions you have for Max and Wesley as well. Okay, so but before that, I'm going to just pass the time over to Jennifer. She will have so she's going to share a little segment.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. Thank you, Wesley and Max, for sharing. Yeah, I just want to share a short segment on my own experience, like basically my story regarding this. Yeah, so about 2 to 3 years ago, actually, how I met Max, this is my story. I started having very bad vertigo, like giddiness. Yeah, after quite a long period of having flu. So I was like you know, I went to TCM, but my condition was just fluctuating. Yeah, I even like exercise, do my walks, but still, you know, even the TCM practitioner told me that she's quite surprised that she changed my medicine, then like I will improve a while, then after that I'll go back again. So it's an up-down cycle. But it's very interesting that she gave me these 4 words in Chinese. Maybe I say it in Chinese first. She asked me whether I use my phone very often. So she said, do you know that the phone is 暗号气血? Okay, I will translate. 暗 means 暗中 means secretly. 耗 means 消耗, which is like wasting away. 气 means your, you know, your breath, your energy inside. And 血 means your blood. So in Chinese terms, these 4 words actually mean that the mobile phone can secretly waste away our energy and our blood. Yeah, so I think that kind of struck a chord within me, and I started actually, oops, how come the slide? It wasn't this slide. Yeah. Okay. So I started researching on the internet, yeah, regarding this area. And of course, prior to that, yeah, I missed out this part that during that time it was so bad that I had to sleep before 10. Anything, you know, if I sleep after 10, my whole body would just be so weak, and I didn't know what was going on. I also went to visit like chiropractor and physiotherapy sessions. Yeah, so subsequently after that, I decided that, okay, I better do some research on the internet. And then it's quite interesting that some things pop up that I could be actually sensitive to radiation, not the ionizing one, of course, but the non-ionizing one that Max was bringing up just now, that some people could be sensitive to EMF. At the same point in time, actually, I was also having like insomnia intermittently. Yeah, so my health really dipped very, very low at that point in time. Yeah, and I decided that I needed to do something about it. Yeah. So basically, that was the point when I was like searching for somebody. I was like, okay, I know about this EMR, then how am I supposed to know what my house environment is like? Yeah, so I was searching frantically on the internet. So I bumped into a lot of overseas sites. Finally, yeah, then I found Max online. So I got him in. He took a measurement of our old house. Yeah, measured my sleeping area. And then I realized that my sleeping area was actually next to, you know, our electrical cabling. Not exactly like that, but it's like electrical cabling. And then opposite our house, there were phone towers like what Max mentioned, just directly opposite our living room, as well as even opposite our bedroom. There were some that were shining in. Yeah, so what I did was I DIY, okay? Because at that time, we were thinking we probably want to renovate our house. So I actually pasted aluminum foil, you know, just the normal aluminum foil. Yeah, so I pasted it on our windows. Yeah, and I also started to cable up my laptop when I was working. So the cables would run very super ugly, like across the entire place and things like that. And then my condition actually started improving. Yeah. So subsequently, after a while, I was discussing with Joe. I said, shall we move? Because the radiation at our house is actually really very high. We were living on the 8th floor. So the opposite block had towers mounted above. It's a 15-story unit. So it's totally open air. There's nothing to block. Yeah, and Joe was saying, okay. Yeah, so Joe was saying, okay, on the condition that we move to a bigger unit. So we started searching. So I cannot keep asking Max to come and help us, right, if we go for house hunting. So we bought the meters from him. And of course, Wesley was our agent. So eventually we moved to a double-story masonette, not exactly this particular block that's shown there. And we bought actually at level 2 because the levels were very low from the external towers outside of the house compared to last time when we were staying at level 8. Yeah, and somehow when we got into this house, like what Wesley shared, we just felt very good. Yeah, I mean, I do not know whether it's really due to the EMF at that moment. And somehow the owners, yeah, they didn't turn on the Wi-Fi also. I don't know why. I actually tested it. Yeah, and we actually saw a similar unit at level 6, but yeah, it was higher in terms of the radiation level, and the feeling wasn't so good as well. Yeah. So subsequently, we got Max in again to actually do shielding curtains for our master bedroom, and we also did shielding paint, but only for our master bedroom. Then some of the paint, we actually used it to paint over certain electrical wirings where we know that the children will be nearby. Yeah. And besides that, I also did like our own planning of where the electrical cabling would be. I mean, after the experience of sleeping next to electrical cabling and causing my insomnia, I had to plan. So there's basically no cabling around our bedroom area. If you see the picture on the left, you can actually see this, that there's a lamp here and there's a switch just beside the bed. This is not a good idea. This is not our room. I just took some pictures. So we didn't have this. So all our cables are actually on the opposite side of our master bedroom. Yeah, then for our living room, we basically shut down the Wi-Fi function. We just have a router that connects in terms of the cabling. So many of my friends ask me, then how do you survive? Like I said, then just use mobile data. And just to share, thanks to Wesley also, we managed to find tenants for our house. Actually, we rented out the rooms and none of them complained about not having Wi-Fi, because we actually provided them with cabling points that they can connect. Like they even have a cabled up TV in the room and so on. Yeah, so we were quite surprised also by that. I mean, there were a couple of viewers who, yeah, I remember there was one who said that he will bring in his, can he bring in his own Wi-Fi router in his room? And I straight away say no. Yeah, so to us, health is very important. It's not just about getting, the tenants in and getting the money. Yeah. Now, of course, subsequently, I also got this energy harmonizing Shungai items from Casey. Casey, you want to say hello to everyone? Yeah.
Hiya.
Yeah, we have this on our store as well. So these are actually harmonizing devices that can also strengthen our energies field from these harmful EMFs. Yeah. Of course, I also pumped up on my own exercise and also started taking supplements as well. Yeah. So I've come to the end of my short sharing. Just want to leave this quote with all of us, that at the end of the day, health is really our responsibility. I mean, I could not have imagined if I had placed my health in the hands of another person, or, because actually I did try to even, when I was having the vertigo episode, I even tried to go to the GP just to see what he has to say about my condition. So immediately he actually recommended a nasal spray, which I totally rejected. Yeah, because my friends around me were like saying, go and see a doctor, go and see a doctor. Yeah, but I'm so glad I took on this path, and so glad that, we got to know Max, who really helped us a lot in our journey. And then of course, Wesley will remember those times when we went house hunting with a meter, and then he will be asking me like, what is this all about? Yeah, so thank you, Wesley and Max, for playing an important part in our health journey. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so I'm just wondering this time. Okay, let me stop the screen share. Okay, for those who are present among us, yeah, I'm not sure how this has kind of like impacted or you can connect with. So maybe we'll just pause and maybe just hear if you have any questions for the speakers. If not, then maybe I can just start the ball rolling, right? So yeah, so maybe a question for Wesley. Because your profession is, you're really helping people to buy and sell houses. So so what is your take, and then also some advice because I guess in Singapore already finding the perfect house is really not so easy, with all the pricing, location, levels. Yeah, so how would you advise people to approach this if you add on the health aspect to it?
Well, all right. I feel that in particular, our group here that is attending this talk now, we are a little bit more on the health conscious side, especially with regards to this kind of EMF problem. Antennas are everywhere. So probably I feel that you should prioritize this as the very top of your priority when it comes to house hunting. So just like you guys at time, the first thing that you guys are looking out for are actually taking the reading, the EMF reading, to make sure that you are buying a safe house. So I feel that for people here in particular, prioritize that as your number one priority rather than other stuff like floor levels, price. Price definitely is important, but of course, I think that should be our top priority here. Do you all agree with me?
Yeah, I think so, right? But I'm also really also I mean aware that yes, health is important, but maybe sometimes when that takes priority, there are also other areas and aspects that people who are buying house, they may not be equipped with in terms of options, because they just simply don't know where to start finding. I've some colleagues now who are going to get married soon. Also, like I tell them, because they, especially the younger crowd, they are just very fixated on only go for BTO. Yeah, so when especially you go for BTO, I don't think you have much choice. Already the ballot and the queuing and all this, and you don't even get the possibility. So yeah, so I think this is really where how we can empower ourselves with good advice, good options, speaking to people like yourself.
Well, I feel that also if let's say you're the kind that who goes for BTO and then subsequently maybe you learn about things like or your just nice like example, you're facing the antenna, like what some of those other homeowners have faced. I think if that is something that you can't change anymore, then probably the next person you can approach will be Max already. Right?
Yeah.
I think that definitely there are when people selecting their house or unit, there are list of things that they'll try to check whether it's satisfied all these things. So I say, of course, I also do come across people that like the place so much, but they have an issue with antenna. Of course, then we look into the solution of how to shoot it, because that is the only way. Yeah. So of course, by doing that, of course, you'll be spending additional amount of money to do that. But I say that don't be too discouraged. There are always options available, but just that people are not aware.
So maybe Max, from your point of view, what if there's people who really see a house and they really like it, and they just want to kind of like just go ahead with the decision. From your point of view, are there things that really, with whatever shooting, whatever solutions you employ, you just simply cannot, fight off?
Yeah, I think things like, for example, for the wireless radiation aspect, I think it's still quite easily straightforward. I think there are very solid solution that we can actually shoot it very well. And also low electric field. We have a problem when we have a problem with, for example, in terms of magnetic field shooting. So this is to do with, for example, just like I mentioned, if you have a building there on top of it is a transformer or is a substation or this kind of electrical, those form of radiation to shoot magnetic field is very expensive and it's very hard to shoot. So in those settings, I say that please, by all means, please try to avoid that. Yeah. But apart from that kind of situation where you have high electrical power cable running around, which will generate high magnetic field. Apart from that, things with regards to electric field or wireless radiation, it is still relatively easy to shoot. Yeah.
Okay, there's a question from Evelyn that with regards to the 5G in terms of the placements of the different different parts of the island where the 5G antennas and stations, all this will be. Is it possible to know?
We do have I think I did share with certain people in our community that there are certain links that I can share again. I think probably Jennifer, if you don't know, I will share again. They can send you to. There are certain links that we can actually see where the 5G cell phone being deployed already in Singapore, across Singapore. But to see where into the future, what is their plan, they will never review this. They will never review this. So
and also from my understanding that if let's say there are complaints coming in from customers saying that maybe my house here, the reception is not good and things like that, they will add on additional antennas, right?
Yes, of course. If there are enough people to complain about signals, they will be more than happy to install something for you. I'm very sure that they will do that. But of course, in a public setting, housing setting, there's not much right that people has to voice. But in the public, in the instances like condominiums and all those apartments, private apartments, people do have a voice to say yes or no, because I do champion some of this kind of things into the committee to help them to turn away some of these people that the telcos will typically knock on the doors of these apartments, saying that, okay, dear so and so, dear apartments, we would like to put an antenna on top of it. Yeah, we'll give you certain amount of money for the rental of the space. So there are people that actually in those settings they can actually vote it out, because it's a private kind of apartment. They can actually come together to say, no, we don't want that. So where I help them is probably give them some information that they can counter. But I do want to caution that it still depends on the telco itself, because if they really going to fight very strongly, the Singapore law is there not to, you can't really stop that. They can actually roll it and still put it on top, whether you like it or you don't. Yeah. So this is the sense. Yeah. So to answer a question from Wesley, was mentioning about the solar power stuff. Yeah, the solar power is mainly the issue is not with the panel itself. The issue is actually with the inverter system, because we know that when you have a solar system, it's actually a DC source. You need to actually invert into AC so that your house you can use the power. So by using this conversion of AC, so DC to AC, you will need an inverter. And because of that system, you create a lot of electrical problems in terms of the electrical radiation aspect, not on the wireless radiation aspect, but on the thing. So for private housing or even for public housing, they put a solar panel on top. So when the buildings have this system next to it, you are going to have a lot. And also you have to remember that for bigger kind of project, that for example in HDB, they like to put a lot of solar panel, right? Remember that they will run a very big cable, most those electric cable around, and you don't know where they run this cable. It could be running on your somewhere in your, then some certain units will be affected. Yeah.
Okay, Max, I have a question. Since you're talking about DC AC, just now you mentioned that DC fans are actually emitting more, is it, than AC?
Yes, it's not because of the DC fan there's a have a higher kind of emission. It's always the inverter, the system, because we know that most of the fan that we have is AC fan, running on AC kind of power. So there are customers that I've been to the house to do the assessment. They buy a very high-end DC fan. Yeah, for some reason they want to have maybe less noise or whatever, but it turned out to be very high in terms of the magnetic and electric field. So it just simply turn on. We just do a test about turning off everything. You measure the reading was acceptable. The moment they turn on the fan, it was extremely high. So just for the fact that they have this very interesting this kind of expensive special fan, yeah, we do have a problem. Yeah, and of course there are also people that buy certain appliances from overseas, from Europe or whatever, because of especially in America, yeah, especially where the power is different. They need to have a transformer. This thing sometimes they put it very close to where and this transformer emit a very high level of a magnetic field. Yeah. And so these are things that people has to be a little bit careful. It's not so much on the housing as per se, but it's more on the appliances kind of thing.
Max, there's a question from Evelyn. DC refers to direct current.
Yes, direct current. Yeah.
Yeah.
Max, another thing you also mentioned about the two-way switch. I mean, we do have
Yeah.
two of it. So yeah, how does it contribute?
Yeah, you mean one or two is fine, but there are people that on the whole entire house they like to do as many as possible. Yeah. So I also came across a unit just because they are saying that they are doing a lot of massive electrical wiring. I don't know what kind of wiring they are doing, and then they complain. This particular client of mine, they are actually very sensitive. She got a immunity deficiency kind of problem. So she was say that she used to stay in America for a long period of time. Ever since they moved back, couple of years, ever since they moved into the house, they never feel good. Yeah. So I was doing all those kind of check. I cannot find any problem. Yeah, RF is low, everything is low. Then finally, I did a test as far as in terms of electrical radiation on the wiring is concerned. And then I realized that then she reviewed that before they actually buy the house, they asked a lot of people to do a lot of massive wiring, some very complicated because of they use a very expensive kind of high-end switch. Some of this most of how we do have a very simple switch, on-off switch. They buy a lot of very high-end kind of very nice, flashy kind of thing. We have make the whole electrical wiring more complex. Put it this way. So that actually contribute to some of this thing. Yeah. So that's why, as far as wiring is concerned, try to keep it simple. You don't need to make it very complicated. The two-way switch, of course, the more you have all these switch, you are just making the complexity of wiring even more complex, and you are introducing a lot of this electric and magnetic field into your house. Yeah.
Thanks, Max.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the audience? Evelyn asks, is the DC the same as the DC from the Earth?
No. For DC, no. Basically, Earth have a magnetic field. Yeah, it's a magnetic field. So those it is a different DC is still a direct current, but those are actually made of this kind of we call it motorized kind of thing, like a fan or things like that. But the Earth, we do have a magnetic field. Yeah, by the way, it's a different kind of intensity. It's a different. One is a geopathic magnetic field, more from the Earth. One is from the electrical source. Yeah.
Yeah.
And those are So like I say, even it's a direct current, but it is actually, again, it is mainly because of the conversion, the inverter thing that we are concerned with.
So Max, just for I also have a question regarding those power stations, especially
Yes.
like every HDB block there is those so-called the substations.
Yes.
So what is possibly a safe distance?
Actually, it's quite difficult to talk about safe distance, because a lot of people will say, okay, of course, the further the better. If you're very far, of course, you're safe from it. But the question is always, how far. You actually, the safest, you only need to actually do a actual physical test. Because why I'm saying that is because the reason is very simple. Because sometimes you do not know what is there's a lot of moving factor. For example, how high the loading is in different time of the day. It could be very high current in the evening or whatever. And then because of high current, of course, is relative. You only have higher current, of course, then the magnetic field actually will propagate further. And then your safe distance will no longer be safe. Yeah. So different time of the day, different consumption rate, and also it also depends on how the underground cable is being laid. Because I've seen cases that they have a power station, but the way the power is coming into the landed house, it could come in the way, then some part of their landed property can be affected, not by the substation, but by the pure factor of the cable that comes into the home. Yeah.
So question from Irene for, I think, okay, Max, about solar panel on a neighbor's roof or nearby, their house. Will it affect them?
Usually, for example, if let's say a neighbor, if let's say a neighboring block, then they have a solar panel over there, you are quite safe from there, because electrical radiation, as far as electrical radiation is concerned, it doesn't propagate so far. Yeah, with that kind of distance, you should be quite safe. Yeah, we are talking about let's say opposite building or even it depends. If let's say there's a electrical kind of thing just happen to be there, and you are at a different unit just because of lower unit or whatever, most of the time you are actually quite insulated from that. But of course, within the same building, it depends. Yeah, even you are not close to the inverterized system, it could be the running of the electrical cable. But to answer the question, if you are just opposite block or things like that, it is safe. Yeah, it doesn't propagate so far. As far as the solar panel is concerned, in your neighboring block.
Okay. Another question. I believe, Max, for you again. Metal and steel accessories, furnitures, appliances, absorb EMF or do they not absorb?
As far as metal is concerned, they don't, as per se, EMF, because if we are talking about it's more on the reflective nature of metal. They tend to reflect. Of course, if you talk about magnetic field, of course, anything will, most of the material actually you'll pass through. So you're right, for people that are sensitive, we try to avoid metal bed frames and things like that. It can reflect, and it can sort of like a give like a propagation, like a root to actually go nearer to your ball yeah. So this is in terms of metallized kind of thing. So yeah, so for things that we will advise, things like wooden bed frames, yeah, you have a metal, you will tend to get it absorbed or get it get the magnetic field or electric field propagate along the surfaces.
In fact, Max, even spring mattresses, right? Because of
yes. Even spring mattresses, both, because there's a few things about spring mattresses. One is, of course, because mostly in a coil kind of helical structure. Those itself is formed like an antenna structure. It does propagate in terms of EMF. And the other thing is, during the manufacturing of this spring mattress, the manufacturer sometimes it's not intentional, but due to the manufacturing process, some of these mattress could be magnetized, yeah, in a way. So be mindful that there are certain aspects of a spring mattress that can actually having some problems. So there are customers who are very sensitive. They change to those totally have no spring mattress, yeah, those foam type or whatever. Yep.
Okay. Questions from David. If switch off all switches near the bed, it reduces effect.
Yes, of course. When you switch it off, for example, when we did a test, for example, in your sleeping area in your bed, typically we have a measurement instrument. We put it in a bed. When your physical socket switch is on, you can see there will be some readings. Sometimes it could be a high reading. Yeah. So the moment you turn off the switch on the socket itself, yeah, you can see the reading will go way down. So it doesn't help when you have, like, for example, a standing lamp where you have this dimmer switch or this kind of switch. You turn it off, it doesn't help because there will be electrical potential there. So this electric potential can be still built up in your bed. Yeah. So the best way is actually to turn off the physical, when you're not in use, turn off the switch on the socket plug.
Is it to turn off and plug out is even better?
Oh yeah, I mean it doesn't really matter so much, yeah, because you turn out the physical plug itself. But if you want to do it, take it out. It is still as good. But if you turn the physical switch off, it is good enough actually.
Okay. Yeah. So I think thanks for all the questions, and Max and Wesley, your inputs and sharing. Last question, David. Get a non-spring bed. So
yeah,
what?
There are some form, they call it latex kind of. There are different kind of bed out there actually. If you search around, Google, is it EMF safe mattress or whatever, you can find out. As long as you don't have so many of this spring mattress and things like that. But again, I'm saying that a lot of people actually are I'm not saying that all spring mattress are bad. Sometimes when you do the assessment or you do the checking on that bed itself, it's fine. Yeah. We just don't have the problem, yeah, because the level is low. So it's only when people that's very sensitive or really want to have go through the extra mile. So these are the things that obviously things that yeah.
Yeah, just another note is, Max, if there are really like electrical cablings near the bed, right? One of the solutions is also to do to paint, right? The shielding paint.
Yes.
Yeah, like what we did for our house, correct?
Correct. Yeah. For shielding paint itself, mainly we can actually shield against the low electric field. But the magnetic field itself, we are not able to shield it, because magnetic field, you need to have a very special alloy in order to shield that. Magnetic field will still come out. But in terms of home set kind of thing, the wiring, as far as your wiring, we are not consuming high current. So the magnetic field will be relatively not so strong. And magnetic field and low electric field is a very, very interesting kind of way of it propagate very, very shortly, maybe just as 7 feet, just this distance. It doesn't propagate further than that, yeah. So for magnetic field, it's even smaller kind of distance. So that's why, in relatively speaking wise, home wiring kind of thing, you shouldn't be worried so much on terms of the magnetic field itself, yeah. Unless it's done wrongly, unless it's done, then we have a problem with magnetic field.
Yeah. Got some very good comments and questions also. Yeah, Casey was sharing about Shungai as one of the perfect partner to shield and actually harmonize EMF, which actually is also something that we believe in. Yeah. So by the way, Casey, we invited Casey to do a sharing for us just earlier this year, so in February. So if you want to catch the recording of what she shared, which is a lot of stuff, you can just visit our Facebook page, Johnny Deere. Yeah, so the recording is still there. Yeah, but if not, you can also visit our website, which later we'll share the website link as well. Henry, question from Henry. What is a shooting pain, Max, and where do you get it?
A shooting pain is basically a pain that they have, they have a metal properties. Yeah. So obviously, anything that's metal, you can shoot it. Just like earlier, Jennifer mentioned that even a simple aluminum foil can do the job. But obviously, for permanent kind of thing, we do not want to do that. It's not so nice to look at. So the paint is basically have a it is actually black in color because of the carbon nature. It has carbon things inside. So after applying the paint, usually we say a 2 coat. Then after that, you actually apply a normal coat of your fresh paint, like white color or whatever color of your choice. So this is but to point it out that for as far as shooting paint is concerned, because it's conductive in nature, so actually we need to do a grounding for safety reason. Yeah. Unlike shooting fabrics or shooting film or whatever, these are non-conductive, so we don't do any grounding. But for paint itself, we'll do a simple grounding. It is not a massive job, it just do some taping around the thing that goes ground into your socket. This will be all done by our team. Yeah. So this is what shooting paint is all about.
Yep, thanks. So yeah, very, very good questions, everyone. Thanks. So I believe you definitely may need a little bit more time and space to explore a bit more in details for your context and your setting. So please feel free to reach out to us, and we'll be able to help you, link up and connect with Max and Wesley. So to spot a good shungite, one of the question by David. So also just to mention that if you just go and Google shungite today, there are many out there in the market. Yeah, and from our understanding earlier on when we were into this, you can actually get a normal plain shungite from actually anywhere. In fact, China, lots of it. But the difference is that when shungite has got the silver infused properties in it, that makes it a different, the effects and the impact of it is different. Yeah, so that's also something that, we can share offline. Yeah, it's covered in the previous talk. Okay, so we're coming to the end. So I'm going to pass the time to Jennifer to share some announcement. You hang on. Okay.
Yeah, thank you all. Thank you, Max, Wesley, and Casey also. Yeah, so this is actually our website that y'all can visit. We have a Facebook as well as a carousel as well. And then this is our WhatsApp number. So just for this talk, I think I just want to share that this could be helpful for you as a follow-up. Of course, on the left is a wireless radiation assessment for homes done by Max himself that you can also find on our Johnny Deere website. And then we have this book, The Healthy Home, actually written by Dr. Myron Wentz, who himself is a scientist, a microbiologist. This book touches a little bit more, there's EMF inside also, yeah, but not in great detail, but it talks about overall, like even things like the mold, the chemicals, the toxins in our house. And then the non-tinfoil guide to EMFs. Personally, I've read actually these 2 books, The Healthy Home and the Non-Tinfoil Guide to EMFs. That is a very, very practical guidebook. If you're really interested in the area of EMF to delve a little bit more in depth, actually gives you very, very practical tips and even various budgets that you can work with. So like, for example, like the cheapest way to do it, all the way to, how deep you want to protect yourself in this area of EMF. So all these actually can be found on our website, as well as just now we mentioned the silver infused shungite. The products can also be found on our website. Yeah.
Yep. So finally, I think we come to the end. Okay, wait, yeah, I have also left in the chat box our website and also our Facebook page. Okay, so yep. So thanks for everyone for your time this afternoon. So I hope you have gained something useful for yourself. And really thanks to also Max and Wesley for your time this afternoon. Yeah, and of course, and also Casey, who is here all the way tuning in from London. Yeah. So yeah. So wishing everybody a very good weekend. Enjoy your weekend, and we stay in touch. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye.